how do you get civility up there? You have to work together. There's no other way than working together. You have to sit, you have to discuss it, and not everybody has the same thoughts in their mind, and you have to work it out. And it's only for the good of the people of Garwood. There's nothing much more that I could add to that.
Mr. Nusser.
I think unfortunately what we have on council, first of all, I guess I should say that I don't enjoy going to council meetings anymore. I used to. I don't anymore. Because what we have is 5 civil people and 1 antagonist. And that creates a very difficult situation. And it creates a difficult situation because I think the 5 other members that are not antagonists don't want to create or continue that uncivil situation that gets created. I sit there and I debate. Do I argue? Do I let it go? And I do that at almost every council meeting. And it's not fun. It's very, very difficult. There are times I argue, and there are times I just let it go. What we need to do, I think, is something that actually Mayor Lombardo mentioned many years ago, and that has to do with the process. And the process to get something to council and through the council agenda is to work through committees. And you work through committees, and the committee process, where you have 3 members on a committee, allows items to be discussed, allows items to be debated, and then if it gets out of the committee, it gets brought to the council. By the time it gets to council, there might be some discussion, but the rest of the council members need to rely upon the knowledge, the debate, the discussion that goes on at the committee meetings. And I think if we revert to that process and we do something about the antagonist on the board, we will have a civil council going forward.
Mr. Suman.
You know, I know I can bring something to the council. You know, I'm an accountant. There's a lot of skills I can bring when we go to these different committees, when we discuss budgets, when we discuss monetary items. I've done it for over 10 years, ever since I graduated college. I don't want to add discord to it. I want to add math and problem-solving skills. I want to work pragmatically with everyone on the board, regardless of party, because I know that's the only way we're going to get things done. We have to work through persuasion. We have to work through gathering ideas and acting on them. I'll give you an example. Let's say we need something from the county. The county's controlled by all Democrats, and if I were to serve, maybe I can have Sarah call the county. She has a lot of good relationships there. And conversely, maybe if I were to get on, I can call John Bramnick, Tom Kane, and others that represent this area. I know that we can work together to get the right leadership from the state level and the county level. What I don't want to see anymore from council is how out of touch they are. I want to bring back transparency. So on top of bringing my accounting skills, I want to bring the council back to you. And I know Eileen agrees with me. I mean, how well we worked together through this entire campaign season is truly a testament to how well I can work with different people. It doesn't matter about the disparity in age, because we're working towards a common goal in serving you. Thank you.
Ms. Kukrow.
Who brought up age? Was that part of the question? Was that?
No.
Boom.
I forgive you for this, okay?
Don't let it happen again.
Yeah.
See how well we work together?
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. As Carol said, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about the council. Is that what we're talking about? I think the frustration that goes on with the council is because certain people, I believe, are not listening to the residents of Garwood. So what happens is you get the animosity, people's dander gets up, they get excited, and they don't really feel like they have any other recourse. So I really wouldn't single out any one particular person. That's not the right thing to do. But what I would do, and what I do in my entire real estate career, is I represent all parties. As a real estate agent, guess what? If I can't negotiate with 2 attorneys, 2 inspectors, 2 other agents, buyers and sellers, when the seller says, well, a meteor landed on the roof and there's a big hole in it, but we're not gonna fix it. And the buyer says, well, what do you mean? I can see the sky through the roof. Well, you have to work together as a team to be able to get to where you have to be. That's what it means to be a professional, whether it's a real estate agent, Mr. Sarno, who is an accountant, Mr. Neerstead, who is a planner, and Carol Carney that runs her own business. I think we all should be able to work together for the common good of this great town.
What would you do to enhance communications between the borough and its citizens? Should the Facebook page be revived with appropriate regulations? Should the Garwood Gazette be made more timely and substantive? Are there other avenues the borough should pursue? Mr. Neerstead.
It's a double-edged question. Facebook. I'm not a fan of Facebook. Do I have a Facebook page? Yes, I have a Facebook page. When was the last time I was on it? I couldn't tell you. I don't like it because it, excuse the expression, it just takes away your privacy. And I fear the same thing with a borough Facebook page. I truly do. You can't control who's on it, you can't control who's a friend, you can't control who put something on it. In order to control it, you have to have the business administrator, borough clerk, or someone in her office basically watch Facebook every minute of every day. I'm sorry, they have more important things to do. So Facebook, more than willing to discuss it. With controls, maybe it can be made proper, but I'm not a fan of Facebook. We need to have a we need to have a borough website improved. We need to have more things put on it. We need to have better communication on it. We need to update it more often. I'm a big fan of the web page itself. You go on there, have the events on there, have anything that's occurring in the borough on the web page. I also think that the simple sign out front of Borough Hall, we need to read it. But I'm also going to strike a chord that may not go over so well, and that is that a republic, the democratic republic such as we live in, requires citizen input, requires citizen involvement, requires citizens to actually come out and find out what's going on too. And while the borough can have a web page, the borough can have a Facebook page, it can have the Gazette, it can have the sign out front. We don't have newspapers anymore, not as often as we did. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to find out what's going on in our own borough. I'm sure, again, there are 4 of us up here who've gotten to a house and the person has said, oh, who's the mayor? We need to find out what's going on.
Mr. Simon.
When it comes to the borough Facebook page, I don't know if many of you know this, but last year, it sent out invites to a Democratic fundraiser. Since that time, there has not been an investigation as to who was responsible and what had happened behind that. Until that investigation is done, we cannot move forward with a Facebook page. After that's done, if it's done, then we can move forward with the appropriate controls, and then start informing the citizens of Garwood the way that other towns do. Yes, there needs to be accountability. When we talk about the webpage, I think we can constantly update it. We need to make it more live. We have to make businesses aware of where Garwood is and what we're about. Not everyone comes from Union County. I mean, me, myself, I came all the way down from Ocean County. I did the reverse that most people in New Jersey do. I traveled up the Parkway for work. And because this is a great borough. 1 minute. I think that constantly evolving that page will be a benefit to potential businesses that want to come here. You know, a coworker just brought up today. He just bought a house in West Caldwell, not far from here in Essex County. And he said, you know, Joe, they just had a meeting for new residences that just moved into the area. And they just had light refreshments. He goes, and they didn't even mention party names. They just all said, hey, welcome to the town. Isn't that something we can do? Isn't that something we can do to get to know your neighbors as opposed to a council meeting? I think that'd be a great idea. And I'm glad that I talked to him today. Thank you.
Ms. Kukrow.
Any form of communication that can be put out there for the citizens of Garwood is totally acceptable. We have a wide range of ages in this town. Not everybody uses Facebook. not everybody uses snail mail, not everybody uses email. So any way that you can put all the information out there for the residents to be able to partake and see what is going on a daily basis is wonderful. I think the Garwood actual site, garwood.org, could be a little bit more user-friendly. I think they could spruce that up a bit, definitely without a doubt, and make sure every single thing that pertains to Garwood is on there. There's usually always some things that are missing. The Facebook page, I concur with my associate down there, Joe Sarno, should not be brought back until we see what was actually behind the inappropriate postings for a fundraiser. Definitely not be brought back. Snail mail, I also believe is good. Like I said, there's plenty of seniors in town that would like to see a letter. I mean,
1 minute.
what's wrong with letters anymore? I mean, are they extinct? The letters would have come in really handy when the township, a few years ago, changed the two-family zoning to one, and the residents that were in that zone, when the rug was pulled out from underneath them, didn't even know that the zone was changed until they either went to sell their house or went to sell their house, and that's when they found out about it. So yes, every form of communication that can be relayed to the residents of Garwood must be undertaken.
The borough should have a Facebook page. There is no doubt in my mind. The borough also, the Garwood Gazette is an informational quarterly newsletter which highlights past, present, and future events. That is another way of getting the word out to our residents that do not use Facebook and do not tweet and do not have an iPhone as we do. There's something I really have to bring out about this social media and why, after 8 months that this sat quiet and the council is trying to make policy to make certain that the Facebook page would be administered properly and secured in order that this would not occur again. The event that you're saying that something was sent out, it wasn't sent out to people in town as an invite. It was on the Facebook page, it was, someone friended the Facebook page, they did, however it happened, okay, it was not done maliciously. It did go to the prosecutor's office, and Mr. Matthew knows that. And the prosecutor's office threw it out. So, getting back to having a Facebook page, yes, we should have a Facebook page.
Ms. Carney ran last year as a Republican. She's here this year as a Democrat. Do party labels matter in a town as small as Garwood? And should they matter? Mr. Sarno.
Thank you. What really matters is the message we send to everyone. It's not necessarily the party. I think Ms. Carney has found herself more aligned with the party that goes along with her thinking. Right now, Eileen and I are for transparency. We oppose the DPW agreement, and right now, the Republican Party stands behind that. So yeah, there is a little bit of a meaning behind it. There is a little bit of allegiance to it. You know, when you look at people changing parties and things of that nature, always focus on the message that's behind it. What's their campaign model? What are they standing for? You should always look at that. And for us, we're standing for you. We're bringing the government back to you. And we're also making sure that you're on top of all issues.
Ms. Kukaro.
I would have to concur, but obviously, Ms. Carney changing parties, only Ms. Carney knows why she changed parties. It's not me, it's not for me to sit here and judge why she did. I believe if you have allegiance or a loyalty to your party, to your constituents, to your husband, to your wife, then those traits are ingrained in you. So if a person can haphazardly change parties because another party will suit their purpose much better, or them get elected as a different party, then you know what, that's up to Carol.
I have to say the Garwood Republicans left me. And I had the tenacity to run on the Republican line with no help from the Republican chair of the party, and lost only by a few votes. The Dems offered me an opportunity to serve on council, and I took it with great pride. Today, I come to you as Carol Carney, not as a Republican or a Democrat, with honesty and integrity. I will always stay true to myself and put Garwood first, not the political party. That's who I am.
I think R&D matters on a national level, not a local level. It might surprise people. When I was 18, I started out as Republican. Obviously, my father had an influence on that. Years later, I found my true calling and switched to a Democratic Party. First off, we believe Carol switched to the Democratic Party, as she stated, because the Republican Party left her, not because she left the party. We hope Carol's the first of many. As Council Member Sarah Tedisco has stated, we will not be happy until every Republican becomes a Democrat. Also, people may not know this, but if you look back, I ran against the Democratic Party here in town years ago. And Lombardo was shaking his head, he knows. Because, not that I remember, but I lost by 3 votes. I think it's very important to know or to recognize that we all have our views on things, and sometimes you're aligned with the party, sometimes they're not. But as Carol has indicated, you have to be your own person. Carol obviously realized that she could no longer agree with the policies of the new Republican Party in Garwood. I think it's very important for me to emphasize the new Republican Party in Garwood. For those members in the audience who have been longtime GOP members, this party of today does not represent the GOP party of yesterday. I think you can see that very easily by going down certain streets in town, seeing where former Republican chairmen live, former Republican council people live, and see whose signs they have out on their lawn. Longtime Garwood members of the Republican Party do not support the current Republican Party of Garwood, and I hope that continues on November 3rd. Thank you.
Beyond shared services, what specific steps would you take to control costs? And please be specific. Ms. Kukala.
The first step in controlling costs, to me, is to stop spending. I mean, I don't see any other way with the budget that we have in Garwood and the Board of Ed, county taxes, municipal taxes. It's pretty hard to ascertain what I would actually cut to try and save taxes. I can tell you one thing, I would not have spent over $3 million on a vanity project to make sure Giant Stadium was in Garwood. I would have used that money for much needed road repair, curbs, sidewalks. There was much better things that the money could be spent on. I certainly wouldn't be bonding out. It's hard for me to say this, but I know every town works this way, and I'm not familiar with the budget like Bill Neerstead would be. He's been doing this for quite a while. But it would seem to me the more times you borrow money, the debt keeps going up and up and up. And the interest on that debt will seem to never get paid.
1 minute.
And also, it's kind of disconcerting to see that we took grant money, and now that big beautiful complex really doesn't even belong to Garwood with a big green acre sign in front of it. Garwood used to own what was in Garwood. They used to build what was in Garwood. They didn't borrow to build, and in the end, not even own what's really here.
Ms. Carney?
Can I ask who owns the complex? If you're saying.
Well, it's funded by Green Acres, so do you think Garwood really has control over that complex, totally?
Garwood owns the complex.
Do you think, didn't Garwood not take grant money? And are there never any strings attached to grant money when we take it?
I don't know what strings are attached, but Garwood owns that complex.
Garwood doesn't own that complex, lock,
We're-
stock,
we're
and
not
barrel.
supposed to be
Well,
going
then
back
why
and
did you
forth.
say it to me?
This is Mrs. Carney, Ms. Carney's 2 minutes.
Okay. Government, to save tax, to save money, make government more efficient and generate revenue. That's what good government is all about. Garwood provides top-of-the-line services to its residents in this town. It's very hard. You have to watch the budget and make sure the monies are being spent wisely. That's all we can do when we sit and we look at the budget. We do have people that are experienced in this and really know, really can guide us in the direction on how we can save money. Our 2014 budget was the lowest in 12 years, so I don't, you know, don't have much more to say other than the fact that we need smart government. We need to learn how to save the money, and when I'm sitting up in the days, I will make sure that happens.
Mr. Newsom.
Everything increases, except our salaries. We all know that. The 1% is doing great. The rest of us really aren't doing well at all. Salaries haven't gone up in a long time. It's easy to say stop spending. Are you going to lay off the police department tomorrow? That's the biggest part of our budget. I didn't know the Republican Party advocated laying off the police, so I have to let you know that.
That's not what she said.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous, dude.
Just stop the nonsense.
Conley,
Right.
if you're going to stop paying employees, if you're going to stop spending, there are loss of services. They go together. It's the job of the Borough Council to provide for the services that the residents ask for and require. And unfortunately, taxes pay for those services. Anyone who sits up here and says to you that they're not going to raise your taxes is basically lying. And I shouldn't say their taxes, I pay them too, our taxes. They're basically lying to you. It's a job of council to determine what services are necessary for the borough, determine what is needed to ensure that property values in the borough are improved. You can talk about not wanting to spend money on an athletic facility, but when a municipality stays dormant and doesn't do anything to improve its worth, then your property values do not increase, and you lose value. We saw that, as Joe knows, in the 2008 recession, on to what, 2012 or however long it went on. Still going on. And it's incumbent upon council members to recognize what those services are, to try to get those services at the least cost possible, and keep taxes as low as possible. And that is what we can promise you. And that's.
Mr. Sonner.
I tell you, the first thing I would cut would be the salaries of the mayor and council who fired our DPW director. They should all be that includes even those that didn't vote, because everyone is a team. So even if you voted against it, you go down to $1 too. You know Fanwood, all their guys, they get $1, each one of them. We need to start with ourselves. We need to look in the mirror. I'd be humble to walk up to the dais and say, just take me down to $1. I hold myself to that. I will do that if I'm elected. I want to do that. When people say taxes won't go down, well, my parents are still down in Lacey Township in Ocean County. My father's property taxes went down 10%. Don't tell me it's impossible. And I know that's in Ocean County. I know we're in a different world. But please don't tell me it's impossible because of gradables and things that have been brought into the community. Also,
1 minute.
when I hear that we had the lowest budget in 12 years, actually we're the highest ever municipal budget in the history of Garwood. It may have been the lowest increase, but the number value, the quantity of that, was still pretty high. It was very close to what it was the year before. So we do need somebody with the background that I have as an accountant, where I can bring that disciplined mindset to the council.
Excuse me, do you do municipal accounting?
No, but I do know
Then
that
you
plenty
just
of people
answered my
that do.
question. You answered my question.
What makes the difference? What's the difference between municipal accounting and seeing the numbers? Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question. If you're sworn into office next January, what will be your first priority? Ms. Carney. If you're sworn in January, what will be your first priority?
I gave back the $1,500 that the council people are paid. I will not take that from the borough. That would be the first thing I do.
First priority is probably to advance the abandoned property regulations in town. I think it's very important to recognize that we cannot allow structures that are damaged or destroyed or in some way reduced in value to stay forever. I'm sure we all know House on 3rd, a couple of houses down on Spruce, one on Center, that we need to make sure that those property owners are held to the same standard the rest of us are to maintain those properties. And it would probably be to advance that ordinance.
Mr. Soon.
The first thing I would do is to thank the people of Garwood, because that honor would be one of the greatest achievements of my life. It would be a truly humbling experience. I would definitely show their humility, and I would thank all the voters for all their support, and I want to make a promise to them that in those 3 years, I'm going to give my best no matter what, and bring all the skills that I have and any new ideas I have, and to work together with everyone else on the dais, and work pragmatically to come to solutions and make Garwood a better place than we left it.
Ms. Cuckoo.
It took so long to get to me, I forgot the question already.
You're sworn in January, what will be your first priority?
Well, my running mate and I, Joe, already discussed giving back our $1,500, but I think we do have to keep $1 for tax purposes. I would definitely do that. Also, the first thing I would look into is actually seeing how we can roll back the contract with the shared services once that contract is up. I would like to see our DPW stay totally in Garwood. I don't want to see our DPW, which is the best out of any of the surrounding towns. And you can clearly see with the demarcation where Cranford starts and Garwood starts in Westfield, where Garwood starts and the rest of the towns end. One's black, one's white. So I would definitely look into, as the first thing, aside from thanking everybody for the privilege of being elected, is to see about rolling back that, that agreement.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Time for closing statements. Each candidate has 3 minutes, and we'll get a warning when 1 minute remains. We'll start with Mr. Mearson.
Public questions?
Once again, I thank Mr. Connolly and the Point residents for sponsoring this debate, and to everyone who came out to listen to us. Thank God the Giants and the Mets aren't playing tonight. I hope it has been an educational, worthwhile evening out for everyone. I hope that Garwood residents now recognize that Garwood renegade Republicans are simply a negative group making us all victims of misinformation by twisting tough council decisions made after much public debate into lies and innuendos. Current Republican Party candidates do not represent the goals and desires of the past Garwood Republican Party, with which the Garwood Democratic Party worked together for the betterment of Garwood for years. They call for reduced taxes with an imposed shared services that provide for such relief. They send out flyers that purposely mislead and misinform Garwood residents about the shared service agreement, stating that DPW workers would report to Fanwood, which is not true. That if Garwood uses and damages Fanwood equipment, we're responsible to fix it. Not true. The shared service agreement costs us $40,000 a year when it actually saves us $70,000 a year. But because the DPW contract ends this year, the future of DPW workers is unknown. And that recycling is even mentioned in the shared services agreement, which it is not. That the recreation complex is costing us $32,000 this year, when in reality, with field rentals, it is breaking even. The complex has an anticipated cost of $44,000 in 2016. The 2016 budget hasn't even been discussed yet. Where do these numbers come from? That we oppose options that would increase parking, when in reality, Republicans are opposing such an option by not understanding the reason for the borough to retain eminent domain is to ensure that a developer provides parking, not to buy private housing. They needlessly and purposely scare and panic Garwood residents by making totally unfounded statements about affordable housing and needing a new school because of development. Republican platform is about negativity and opposition, not ideas, about problems, not solutions. Carol Corney and I do not speak negatively of Garwood and then try to sell real estate in Garwood. Carol and I are proud that it is now commonplace to see that Garwood homes are routinely selling for $300,000, $400,000, and $500,000. Marie and I purchased our house in 1988 for $169,000. It is now valued at over $350,000. Don't we all want to see our houses increase in value? That is the kind of positive growth that I think all Garwood residents, Democrats and Republicans, want to see. All the developments that I mentioned earlier have been positive for Garwood, have put us on the map, and have made Garwood even a better place to live. Marie and I love walking to restaurants with our friends and catching trains to the city to see entertaining and sporting events. We love living in a town with lower taxes than our surrounding communities, yet being able to utilize all that our location offers.
Time.
Time?
What happened to 1 minute?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Sarno.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank everyone again, thank the candidates, thank Mr. Connolly, and thank the Point for hosting this tonight. Really appreciate everyone coming out here tonight and squeezing into here. Love to see the support and seeing Garwood here. You know, in the 1980 presidential debate, Governor Reagan told President Carter, there will be plenty of Democrats with us this time around, because there's going to be less government, less taxes, and more freedom for the people. Government will be returned to you, and your voice will be heard. Do you think Garwood is better because of government intervention in the intended use of eminent domain? Do you think Garwood still is a small town and big heart, despite firing its DPW superintendent in undeniable opposition? Do you think Garwood is better because of undisciplined spending on parks and fields, all the while taxes continually to steadily rise? If you answered no, then I think you know who your candidates are. However, if you answered yes, Eileen and I are your choice. We will bring Garwood back to you. We will listen to you. We will increase the transparency that we so much talk about in our campaign. And if anyone were to tell you otherwise about our agreement, I will say this. I'm going to read the first statement of it. Garwood hereby designates Van Wood's certified public works manager and certified recycling professional as the superintendent of Garwood's Department of Public Works for all public works services and activities. Fanwood shall be the primary employer of Penn. The director shall direct and supervise the Garwood DPW. Right then and there, you see who's reporting to who. Know the facts. We're on the ballot. Please vote column A. Thank you.
I wish to really take the time to thank everybody up here. Bill, Carol, my running mate Joe Sarno, very well said. I don't think I have to add anything to that, but maybe just a few kind words without going into my 2-3 minute limit. Ladies and gentlemen of Garwood, in my profession as a real estate agent, I must have the ability to fight for both buyers and sellers. But what that fight has always meant to me is the fulfillment of dreams. Whether it is helping someone sell a home to retire and move on with the next chapter of their life, or to a new homeowner to to start a new life and raise their family. The satisfaction I receive has provided tremendous fulfillment in my life. And more importantly, this means a lot to me, I'm here for my parents that are no longer here to share this day with me. They were one of the silent majorities that I spoke out in the beginning statements that I made, forced to sell their home when my mom passed away. My father could not continue to live in Garwood, even though he loved it greatly, due to the nonstop increases in taxes. One of the most important aspects I bring to the table is my fiduciary duty to represent my clients to the best of my ability. I promise you here and now that I will represent all of Garwood as the most important client I will ever have the honor to serve. I humbly ask for your vote for myself and my running mate Joe Sarno on November 3rd to be able to bring all sides to the table for the better good of this town. Thank you so much.
Once again, I appreciate everyone who took the time out of their busy lives to come here tonight. Eileen, Joe, Bill, my weekend husband. You didn't hear that earlier. Okay. And Mr. Conley and people here at the point. I believe that politics mean little to the citizens of Garwood. Democrats and Republicans don't matter. Our residents want one thing, to keep Garwood a good, safe, and desirable place to live. They expect their elected representatives to unite in a positive and constructive way to accomplish that. I believe that good people working together can achieve anything they set out to do. And I and my running mate, Bill Neerstadt, will get the job done for our residents. I now stand before you seeking your support and your vote in the November 3rd election. I have envisioned and successfully seen through Garwood Rocks. With your support on Election Day, I will keep Garwood rocking every day. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates. Thank you to all of you for showing up and paying attention, being interested. Be sure to vote on November 3rd. In the meantime, we have some light refreshments back in the corner. Feel free to help yourself. Thank you.